Okay, welcome, folks. This is our lecture for Design 350. It's Thursday, December 2nd. We are on a Google Meet, and the recording is on. So let's take a look. Remember, this is our Project 3. It's week 15, and this is the due week. It's due this week. It's a new development. It's commercial. It's really mixed use. And it's considered commercial because there's going to be an innovation site and there's a religious facility on the two combined sites. So I thought I'd just go over the project requirements again, just very briefly, and then show you an example so that you've got an idea of what is expected as a full complete project for this one. So remember, we're really talking about underutilized properties as the preferred method to address the area's housing shortage. Now, you really need good proposals now because even with SB 9, which, as you recall, did away essentially with RD1, residential 1 unit per lot. There's still a lot of pushback at the local level, and you might just really want to do a little bit more. And so here's what we're trying to do, and this comes from the County of Sacramento land use element. Welcome in. And so if you can, in your proposal, quote requirements that the county has given, it helps the approval process along. So we want to utilize vacant or underutilized lands. We want to have some accommodation for economic and population growth. And we're probably going to go in at a slightly higher density based on this community and site suitability. So that's what we're looking at doing here. And we're really not increasing much over the development that was one block to the east. We're doing a little bit more dense. But if you look at what SB 9 allows one block to the east, we're equaling that. Okay, so let's take a look here and see. You're asked to do an existing site plan, a demolition plan, and a proposed new site plan. So let's take a look and see what the elements of those are. Now, I added this property schedule just to put it in there. But as you saw from the lecture or the lab, I don't remember which one it was, just from a day ago. This is an example of the existing site plan. If you add some of the property lines, that's good, but it's not really critical because nobody's going to be measuring new stuff based on that. Just knowing that this is on the corner of Winding Way in Pasadena, and that there's a specific set of addresses, and that there are existing buildings being identified, and that there's existing tree canopy that we need to deal with, and an existing right of way. And now this isn't perfect, but it was a tracing to scale from Google Maps. Okay, so I just traced to scale from Google Maps and got that. And this took me about an hour. And so you've seen that one before. So then I went to my proposed plan first because I have to figure out what I'm proposing to do before I do a demolition. So let's look at my proposed plan. And you can see it's much the same. I just did a duplicate of this site and I put in a couple of new regions. So let's look and see what changed. I've got the existing community bank, the existing congregation. So I listed those as existing. And then I put some new stuff in here. Let me zoom out just a hair. That looks like I'll catch everything I want to see. So the first thing I needed to do was figure out the Innovation Center and the apartments. So I decided on 24 by 40. Each of these pads is 50 by 50. So that sort of gives me the idea. And so if I cut those in two and made them 2-story, I would get 24 by 40 essentially, and 960 square feet. There's 2 per level, so this could be cut this way and then cut this way on the second level. There's 2 per level. That's 4 per building pad. And that means there's going to be 8 on the lot. 4 plus 4. And then, just out of deference to these people over here, they're not used to people looking over their fence. I'm suggesting that the architect is going to have to restrict the window placement on this eastern side so that they're either high so that you're looking up and out, but something to keep these windows from looking down over here. And that's just, it's going to be a lot easier to get this approved if these people aren't worried about being spied upon. And so I put those in there, and then I put in 4 parking places. I could probably put in more, but I'm going to go with those for now. I put in a right-of-way so that you could get over to these. And then, remember we talked about these are fairly small. Maybe these are 2-bedroom, 1 bath. That would be appropriate to that. So look, we've got 16 to 32 people that could live here. And so I think it's appropriate to have some sort of a community utility room. Washers, dryers, maybe even a kitchenette for the renters to be able to use. If they're going to have some sort of a group type thing, they can use that. And I chose to attach it to the Innovation Center because it's easier to get all the, the larger plumbing and a larger electrical over here. So that takes care of those 2 sets of apartments that was asked for. And I've got some parking. I could maybe do more if I thought it was needed. I could move these north a little bit, put another set of parking here and another set of parking here. It's up to the architect to really start dealing with that. This could actually be parking all over here. We'll see. We'll see what the architect comes up with. You just need to put in regions. You don't need to design these buildings. So the Innovation Center is supposed to be 4,000 square feet. And again, I chose to make it 2 stories. And how the architect wants to do that. And this pad is actually 60 by 60, which is 3,600 square feet. So there's room on this pad to do cool stuff. And it's showing that there's plenty of room on this lot still for all of this stuff while keeping a significant portion of the existing tree canopy. The last thing we wanted to do was to make sure that we have, a right of way, some way to get down to here, to the buildings. And then since this is an innovation center, you're going to have to be able to get deliveries and things like that. So I made a much larger area here. And you can't pull in a huge truck, but certainly the big vans and things like that that do deliveries these days can get in here. You could probably get a decent sized truck in here. And then along the front, there's got to be some place for the waste disposal area for these. And so I put that up in the front. So I've identified all the things. Now, to get to this innovation center, remember we said that that was really associated with this this religious facility, and it's for people that work there. So my thought process for this, and yours doesn't have to be the same. There's plenty of room for parking over here. You can move this around. You don't have to keep all this canopy. But this parking lot would be a good access to this innovation center, and that would keep these much more private. Because remember, these apartments are not affiliated with; they're owned by, but you don't have to be affiliated with the congregation to be able to rent these. So I thought it would be cool if, and if you look at it, there's a big, there's a kind of a little park or community open area right here that just is perfect as an entryway to this. So those were my thought processes. And it's certainly good enough to get people to understand what this proposal is. So then the third thing that's needed is a demolition plan, and the only demolition happens on 4632. So I zoomed in on it a little bit. And so I said, preserve the trees in this area, preserve the trees in these areas, but you would remove the trees from this area. That's a pretty good amount of preservation. And then for this building pad, there's going to be some removal, but we're saying clear the minimum amount necessary to do this. Okay. Demolish the existing right-of-way. Demolish the existing residences. And then clear whatever is required 20 foot wide here. And I didn't line this up very well, obviously. Demolish about 20 foot wide so that you can really get, trucks and a concrete truck and all that kind of stuff up and down this road so that you can do your building on these. So that would be the existent, the demolition plan. That would be an example of a demolition plan. That's really the scope of what's needed this week for this project. Okay, it's just that thought process. Really make it do. And then be sure in your letter of intent to make sure that you're referencing these. And look this over and identify where each of these aspects falls within these three statements. Because if you can do that, if you can point specifically to a local planning requirement and say, we are doing this, then it makes it easy for the planners to go, well, this meets our needs, this meets our requirements. Then they can start looking at things like, do you have the parking? Do you have enough sewage? Do you have enough electrical rather than going through a long process to see if this is even an appropriate project. That's what this planning submittal is about, is to say, yes, this is an appropriate project. Okay, so there we go. I think we've hit everything that I was talking about. Yeah. So, any questions? That's this is an easy one, because I just have these examples for you. Any questions about what is due on Sunday?
I just have one quick one. Do we need to put spot elevations on the
No,
corners?
on this particular
No?
one we don't. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not looking for any kind of topo on this one. So yeah, in this case we're good. Now, if this were a full submittal, of course you need those elevations to make sure that, you know, we're not putting the buildings in a low point where it's going to be a swamp, or, you know, or that we're trucking in infill or something. But for this particular portion of a submittal, we're going to leave those off.
Okay, awesome. And then as far as the Innovation Center, do we need to put in there exactly what services we're thinking about offering?
No, no.
Okay.
And the only reason we're putting that in the letter of intent is so that the project people will go, oh, yeah, okay, we're not overbuilt with, you know, a ton of small things. Like if there was already like a little artist co-op nearby and a barber shop nearby and a this nearby and a that nearby, if this area was already inundated, the planners might go, you know, you're going to be damaging those existing businesses by competing, you know, having this congregation maybe support this. So all you're really doing is showing in your letter of intent that this is a business desert, that there are no businesses that are going to be impacted. And so people should be happy to see this come in. Cool.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So we would just explain it in the letter and not
Right.
on the actual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
Now you could, if you wanted to, you could mention here, um, you could put something like flexible space design or something like that. I'm not doing a very good job of typing here. So that it becomes like really obvious that there we go, that it becomes really obvious that, hey, anything can go in there. Cool. That was
Okay, sounds
all
good.
right.
Can I see your demolition one again? I think
Yeah.
I'm done with my existing and then
So
okay.
on the demolition, I zoomed in on just the 4632 winding way. You'll want to make sure that you note what gets demolished. Like in this case, now it could be that in your design you're keeping the existing right of way, right? I mean, everybody's design is going to be different. You know, somebody might put the innovation center back here, might put,
I was just gonna ask
yeah,
that.
no, you can put stuff wherever you want. As a matter of fact, the people over here would probably rather have the apartments lined up over here rather than over here, right? You know, that gets rid of, you know, so there's all sorts of things that people can do. You just have to say what's being demolished and what's being kept. And then where it's not clear, like I just said, okay, you're going to do something in this area. Do the minimum amount of clearing you have to do. Don't go whacking everything away. But you're going to have to move something to get your trucks in here, and to get a 2-story building built.
Okay.
But you get to do whatever matches your proposal, right?
Okay, so then for the demolished, we just do the we don't include like where the church
Yeah,
is. We can do that one.
right.
Okay.
Because really and truly, let's go look at the you're probably not going to be doing anything over here. Now, if this little building here needs to get demolished, then you can do a little bit more of it. Or if you're going to demolish something over here to make this entrance, but take it easy on yourself.
Yeah.
make a plan that's easy. But yeah, so for the demolition, it's very easy just to work with the 4632.
Okay. Okay, and that's just on the demolition, so the existing and the proposed, would show the full of
Right.
both sites, and then then the demolition, that
Yep.
makes sense. Okay.
Okay. And then of course,
Sounds
put
good.
them on some sheets. And my sheets aren't numbered right, but that's okay.
So
You get
So I just took one of the previous projects and then I just made a copy of it and saved it
Yep.
that way. And then I was able to work off of there, so I can just delete any of the other sheets that don't belong on there, and
Or you
then
can leave the sheets in and only print these 3 to the PDF.
okay.
That works just as well.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. All right. Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, I'll check in for lab on Friday the 3rd. And if there are any questions, I'll go ahead and answer them. Otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing everybody's cool stuff on Sunday. Okey-doke.
Awesome. Thank
All
you.
right.